Good afternoon to you, Dominica. Good afternoon to you. We're coming back. This is the talk on the block. As I walked out of the studios this morning and just walking through the streets of Roseau, I realized that everybody wanted to hear this program we ran this morning again. Talking about the population crisis in Dominica. I know most persons espouse that what we have is a problem with the economy. The economist Mark Marie says no. We're having a problem because we don't have a population. And ended up with speaking to demand and supply and demand. I'm going to run part of the conversation, those of you who may have missed it, as it relates to the diminishing population of Dominica and the impact it's having on Dominica. Population of some, say 69, 70,000. Let's make the numbers make sense. Let's listen to that conversation again before we come in and you can make your comments. Let's listen to Mark Marie. In Dominica right now, Dominicans are not making babies. So our population is dwindling. And we will have a crisis if we don't encourage migration. Let's listen to again the conversation we had for a few minutes with Mark Marie, economist Mark Marie. Listen again. Listen again. We have passed that stage.
Well, let me just run two numbers by you there. In 1992, there were 1,836 babies born in Dominica.
1990?
1992.
1992, okay.
In 2023, which is last year, it was 657. In 2022, it was 658. One more. So we actually had one less in 2023 than we had in 2022.
So we have...
And the deaths were in 700 plus.
So
in 2022, there were 119 more people died than were born. In 2022, 87 more people died than were born.
So we're having a serious imbalance there.
Yes. So the population is actually aged and becoming more aged. You know, like the priests and so on there, some of them more or less forget how to do christening, you know. And they're very good at funerals. Matter of fact, you can't just die anytime. You have to choose a proper time to die for you to get buried when your family want. But the churches are, you know, booked up for funerals.
So what is causing the lack of births in Dominica, Mac? Have you had a formula to that?
I think two reasons. We have, what you might say, environmental reasons, which caused and causes decline in fertility in men. Mm-hmm.
So less men are making babies?
Yeah, less men able to make babies than before.
As a result of?
Of environmental pollution. One of them having to do basically the use of agricultural chemicals. Yeah, particularly one that we used to use here in Dominica, 70s, 80s. And remember 1980s, all of Dominica was planted up in bananas. Yeah, so we had quite a bit of that product. There's something called Nemagon, which is chemically known as dibromochloropropen, otherwise like DBCP. It causes infertility in males.
You think it's still affecting men?
Well, it affected men. So if people were not born, well, whatever before, those people who were not born are not there to make any children. So the thing goes click, clack, 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 dong, 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 dong. Yes, that's one thing. And then the second thing with men in the affecting their fertility in a kind of relatively direct way is the excessive consumption of alcohol. Yes, which affects your sperm count and so on. So it's not that men can't have sex; they have all the sex they have, just that their sperm is not. Here's what's wrong with the sperm: insufficient sperm. Not dead sperm, but very weak sperm. They can't swim because they have to swim up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Badly formed sperm, like with sperm with two heads and sort of weird things, yeah? And some people actually have no sperm. Yeah, so that causes the men not to be able to fertilize egg from women. Then on the women's side, women go to school a lot more. Matter of fact, the universities all across the West Indies there is dominated by women, students, okay? And most people not satisfied with 1 degree, which you would have finished if you went to university at, say, 19 years old at the University of West Indies. 3 years' time, you would have your first degree. Yeah. But many people want to have a second degree, maybe a higher degree.
A master's.
Or something. Or you want to do another degree in another field. Yeah, all of which means you stay in school longer. So
and that's not their prime concern in terms of making babies.
Right. So by the time they finish all of that and say, okay, well, no, maybe I can have a child, they're 30-something years old.
But their prime concern is not having babies at that time.
Huh?
Their prime
Yes, exactly. That's what I mean. So they put off the thing of having children until they are in their own minds sufficiently educated and so on to have a good job and climb up the corporate ladder, if you like. So by the time they get halfway up the corporate ladder, they're 30 something, and the medical advice is not to have children after you're 40. If you're going to have your first child when you're 35 or so, very unlikely that you're going to have a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the birth rate in Dominica is, my last calculation I saw was 1.48 births per woman. And for the population to remain stable, with no immigration, you need to have 2.1 births per woman in childbearing age. In other words, you and your wife make two children to replace both of you.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go off, you just replaced yourself. So for it to grow, you and your wife must make more than two, must make three. Then the population will grow slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and the more you make, the faster the population will grow.
Well, and it's not happening as we speak.
No, it's not happening. No, and it cannot happen anymore.
It cannot happen anymore?
No, because women are able to bear children. Basically, that's a standard definition of childbearing age. It's between 15 and 49. Okay, so if most people are starting somewhere 30 years old, you only have 10 years to make children, because the doctors say, although you are potentially able to carry children up till menopause has occurred, you are advised not to, because the risk of adverse events to the child, mentally or physically, after you're 40 rises considerably. So you're advised try not to have children after 40.
Let's take a phone call. Are you there, caller? Yes. Caller, are you there?
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right. I understand all what the gentleman is saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The main problem we have in Dominica is the economic problem. That's the reason why people are not making children. The money problem. Women are not going for men that broke. You understand? It's money problem.
He says the women are not going for guys that are broke. In other words, the economy is a problem.
The economy is a problem.
That's what you say.
No. That causes the economy not to function properly. The fact that there aren't enough people. That's Dominica's biggest economic problem. Not lack of airport and all these sort of things everybody's excited about. It's the fact that there are no...
So we don't have population.
Yeah. And our population is there are too many elderly people in the population. I wrote a paper in 2008 or so on there, because I got published in French, by the way, in University in Martinique. Actually, I was reading it one of these days. I wrote a statement that says, if situation continues as is, we will reach the stage where there'll be more people dying than people being born. And we arrived there in 2022.
We, Dominica?
Yes. We had 119 more people who died than people who were born. 777, if I remember correctly, and 658 children were born. 777 people died.
How do we correct that?
We just say the only booming business in Dominica for the time being is really the berrying business.
That's very serious.
Matter of fact, understand? Yeah. Dominica probably is one of the few countries in the world, if not the only country in the world, that doesn't have a baby shop. Do you have any baby store in Dominica? You know?
I've seen one or two, but not booming. No.
How long did they stay open?
Hello,
They didn't stay open very long. I remember Dr. James, Mr. James, the former Prime Minister.
Yeah.
His wife had opened a baby shop somewhere on Independence Street there, close to the Isilo Black Bridge. But I don't think it lasted 6 months.
Hello, talk to me.
Morning, Matt. How are you?
Morning to you, morning.
Very interesting thing from McMurray.
Yes.
McMurray is from Wesley, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right. There's something I want to have you proven that Nina gone. I've done some information on damage because I had worked in the banana industry, and Nimagon was even long before 1980s, and it was and have been used mostly by banana farmers and so on. I act as though the whole country is Nimagon to be used because it's farmers who have been using Nimagon, and long when the peace industries were there and so on, and not even just using Nimagon, Nimagon and so on. So you're saying to me, but I would like to hear proof, tell me, well, look, how it has been, why, or how it has been contributing to that. And also, you forgot family planning. People know more aware. Well, you said that the young people want to study and so on, but they are not conscious about family planning, and they tend to take care into family planning. So I don't believe that it's just exactly, or I'm not going against what you're saying, but Nimagon is a nematicide or insecticide which we have been using in the land, but it has been done by the farmers in all districts. What about those who are in the area and the tongue and so on who have never used Nimagon, So, but it's a very interesting discussion. Thank you.
All right, caller, thank you very much. How much of the Nimagon that you spoke about has affected the men in Dominica? That's his point.
To what extent?
To what extent, yes.
Well, to what extent, I wouldn't know because nobody carried out an investigation. I just happen to know about that because...
It was affecting Martinique and Guadeloupe to a certain extent as well.
Well, yeah, Martinique and Guadeloupe, although the chemical they're talking about mostly something called claudicone that has similar effects. And they've done studies in Martinique, and Guadeloupe. And in point of fact, in prostate cancer, and cancer of reproductive organs in women. Prostate cancer in Martinique and Guadeloupe are way off the charts, the highest in the world. The reason if you go check on the WHO website on prostate cancer and so on, you won't see Martinique there because Martinique would be listed as part of France. But if you get to Martinique's figures themselves, they're like 127 deaths from prostate cancer per 100,000 people. Dominica, by the way, officially in 2016 had the highest rate of prostate cancer in the world as a country. We had 59.9 per 100,000 deaths from prostate cancer, which is say 42 people died from prostate cancer. Now, I noticed a newspaper story a while ago there saying that there's a prostate awareness week and so on and so forth.
Yes,
and they were saying,
month.
we had 26 deaths from prostate cancer. Well, actually, they should be congratulating themselves because that meant we actually had less than in 2016.
Hello on the telephone, yes?
My cell phone I'm using now,
Yes.
and you have me there for the longest while the man talking. But let me ask you, Mr. Mario, a question, maybe personal. Mr. Mario, this is the third time I think I hear you on cue talking about the depopulation of the country. Can I ask you how many children you have, Mr. Mario?
How many? She's asking how many kids you have.
How many kids I have? 2?
Yes, 2.
And where are they? How grown are they?
They're abroad.
So, people, well, you should, if you're a mathematician, whatever you are, you know about economics, then you know, well, the depopulation of the country will make the country, how you call it, like things not good in the country. So why do you should make more children? And those you make, you should have them in Dominica, populating the country.
Well, I don't know if you want to get personal blue. I think that's not the issue of getting personal blue. I don't know if that is the mission this morning. All right, Blue. So let's take another phone call. Hello, 927. Hello, yes?
Good morning.
No, I can answer.
You can answer.
I can answer a question,
Yeah, answer the question.
Okay. At the time when I was having children, me and my wife were having children, the recommendation had been to have 2 children. So the fact that we had 2 was not odd. And we were not, so to speak, saying one thing and doing something else. Okay. It so happens that in Dominica itself and many parts of the world, actually, this problem of depopulation is not unique to Dominica. The South Korea, for example, the fertility rate is 0.8 per woman. You just say less than 1 baby per woman. The expectation is that if things continue the way they go there, South Korea will have nobody by 2100. There'll be 0 people there.
Hello, talk to me on the telephone, yes? Yes.
Yeah, Mike is still there.
How are you
Hello,
doing,
Mike.
sir? How are you doing? Yes. Yes.
Okay, morning. Mike, let me say good morning to Mr. Murray. I know he has this competence in the area that he's speaking as an economist. I'm hearing highlighting issues that I don't know if he has studies to prove that respect to Dominica in particular about the impact of agricultural chemicals and so on. That might be the case, but I have not heard him mention nothing about popular migration. One of the most important factors impacting population growth rate is the issue of migration. If you have most of your young people, women and young men migrating, naturally, it will have serious impact on your population growth as far as natural growth is concerned. That is birth rate. So can you speak to that, Mr. Murray, as to what's the percentage, what has happened over the last 20 years or so? The same time you're going back to look at agriculture, go back to look at migration and the age group of the people who are migrating. I'd like to hear you speak to that. Morning. Thank you.
Yes.
Sure. I would just say that the time when Dominica had the largest outward migration was in the 1980s, 1980 to 1990. About 20% of the population emigrated, left Dominica and went to live elsewhere. However, and I have 1990 figures in my head, I just saw them there. We had 1,501 babies being born. I think it's, and 584 people dying. And we had, therefore, a positive increase in the population. We also had migration, and the net addition to the population was like 300 people. So if the number of people being born had been maintained at that rate, and the number of people dying had been more or less maintained, then the population would have been growing slowly, even if people kept on migrating. Because after 1990, the rate of population outflow diminished considerably. And it's not very, we know it happens, but it's not very high. And
people are migrating more these days? No?
No less.
People are migrating less these days?
Yes.
Even in light of the economy?
Yeah. It seems partly because there's nobody to emigrate, partly because not many people who are 40 years old upward would migrate. Some people do, but not that many. And because the population has aged, most people are still here. And you would notice something if you're paying attention a little bit, that we have a council on aging. But if you pay attention a little bit, you will notice we have many care homes in Dominica. They just opened one up by me in Copthall there, like maybe not even a month now. And all around Dominica, there are places like that opening to take care of elderly people, because we have an elder population and we don't have that many younger persons who are in the working age group. Yes. And at the time when I stumbled upon the problem, but that wasn't the thing I was interested in. Yeah. So happens that I go to the statistics office every so often. I used to go there like every February and March to ask them about the statistics about tourism for the last year. And one day I went there and asked them about statistics about something else. I can't remember what. And they said, well, everything you need is in this book. And they gave me a booklet entitled The Survey of Living Conditions. I went home and I read it. When I'm reading it, I'm saying, but this is odd. Every year there are less and less people being born. So I said, oh my God, why? But here's a problem. That's how I started to, because it seemed people were not aware that was happening, to see something and say, here's this what is going on. And then I stumbled across, I was in the UK, and there was this debate about immigration. There were two sides, one side say, yes, immigration in the UK is a good thing. The other side says, no, it's not a good thing. And the person who was saying it's a good thing made this statement: we shall have to have immigration because our birth rate is going to fall. And we know that because we have these sperm banks that we've been keeping since when. And we know that the sperm of the men now who should be having children is considerably worse than their fathers. So therefore, we expect these men to have less children. And therefore, we will need people to come from abroad to fill in the workforce.
The gap,
So
yeah.
I came back to Dominica, I said, oh, probably there's something of the sort going on in Dominica. And I made some investigation and I found out about this problem in Nicaragua and Honduras there with Nemagon and so on. And I knew Nemagon was used in Dominica. So I made further investigation and I found out indeed people had been harmed and some people had actually been compensated.
Hello on the telephone. Sorry about your wait there. Hello, yes, talk to me.
Yeah, good morning, Mark.
Morning to you, sir.
You know something I suspect? I suspect this man is very biased.
Why would he be biased?
First, he starts speaking about with the alcohol with the young men. He talk about with chemical with the young men. And I guess that man should know the situation, the condition Dominica is in right now. Not even, people cannot even raise up a chicken right now. Because even feed, people are having problems in finding feed to feed their animals right now, even chicken. The man should know that nothing is happening in this country called Dominica right now. The economy is bad. Matthew, will you go and bring children in this high economy to suffer now? Why is he not speaking truth? Who is he defending?
Mr. Mark, somebody think to you.
What is saying?
The economy is the main factor for people not making babies. That's his point there. Exactly.
Okay. Well, let me
And
see.
it seems like you're defending.
Let me see.
Yes.
So the economics for a long time. The economy is what people do. The economy is not something that exists outside of us. The economy is as good or as bad as what we do collectively. And we know, for example, that's a fact, that the younger people have newer ideas. They're more prone to take risks and chances.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So in a country that has a large and growing youth population, people do more new things. Even something as funny as, for example, Japan is a rich country, but since the 1990s, Japanese economy has stalled.
Nothing happening there.
They've done everything to kind of rev it up, and it doesn't get revved up. And that is partly because the population is aged, and people who are aged, for example, don't go out and buy new things. They don't go out and buy the latest gadget. They love the old phone they had 10 years ago.
So we have a similar situation here in Dominica.
Yes.
As it relates to Japan.
Yeah. Yes.
And the young people don't have the buying power.
Yeah. But they then don't buy a lot of stuff they don't buy. For example, younger people might buy a set of furniture by Courts. They have it for 3, 4, 5 years. They find out that not shining well enough. They throw that outside and they go and buy another one. Me, the one I have there, I have it 20 years. I find I like it. The one by Courts, I am interested in that. So I am going and buy no more furniture by Courts. Because the one I have there at 20 years old, I sitting in it.
You're comfortable.
I'm comfortable in it. So you understand? So these things happen, not to mention, especially if you're retired, you have a fixed income.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you're not expecting your income to rise. And then you have these medical expenses that keep on you all the time, which a younger person doesn't have. And he has more time to make experiments, make mistakes and correct them and go again. Yeah.
And let's take another phone call. Are you there, caller? No, you're not. Let's try another call. Yes? Uh-huh. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Oh, good morning.
Morning. Make your point. Yes. For some reason, I'm not picking you up there. You have to change your phone. Hello, talk to me. Yes.
Let me ask Mr. Marion a question, and that one not personal. Let's go to
Oh, go ahead.
You're economist. Years back, China prevented their women. I don't know much. much as so you maybe know more than this. Years ago, China prevented their women from having more than 1 or 2 children. Why did they do that? Can you explain to the Dominican public why China did that? It was to help their country promote, and not promote, have their country more economically. The word can't come. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying, but why would China allow the population to, I mean the women, to have one child at the time? That have changed though.
Yes, let me tell you, they made a horrendous mistake, which they're trying to correct, and it's difficult to correct. Let me explain what happened. China had this very large population. Most people who lived in the rural areas and worked in agriculture. There is on that same program that you saw on YouTube there, I speak about that, where I said that the reason there's this bald-headed man on our $100 bill, Arthur Lewis, is because he had written a theory, that's called a theory of economic development with unlimited supplies of labor. Okay, so China was under the impression that because they had this large population and the birth rate was fairly high, if the birth rate kept up at that level, the number of dependents, or call it dependency ratio, would be high. You'd have lots of young people to be taken care of by the working people. So they decided that they should reduce their population was already large. They should reduce the fertility or the births. And then they decided that, well, we should aim for 1 child. And then they made an error. They didn't anticipate that soon after they would have made that decision that scanning would come on screen, where you could know the sex of the child before the child is born. In Chinese culture, males are preferred by everybody, by the mother as well as by the father. So you would the people started having scans, yeah. And if the child was a female, abortion. With the result that they ended up with a strange situation where they have a whole heap of man and no woman for them. So yes, so they have a kind of industry of kidnapping wives for people. So you go often, once you live here in Roseau, you need a wife. I'm an enterprising fella. I take a boat and I go to equivalent of St. Martin or someplace far away, kidnap a girl and bring for you. There's a wife. Yeah. Yeah. So that's happened. And then they realized that the population starts now to diminish. Okay, and when the youthful population is diminishing, that means the age population is growing. So the age population now is becoming a burden because it's those who are working who has to take care of everybody. Yes, those who have stopped working as well as those who are too young to work, etc. It's those who work who pay for everybody. So, and then you need the people to work in factories, but that's what China offered, which made them boom rapidly. The country that grew the fastest in the world in all of history is China from the 1990s to now. Okay, but that was based on the idea that they had a large population to work, a workforce. So jobs that needed lots of people, they could supply the people at pretty good prices. So lots of manufacturers all over the world make their stuff in China. Now, Chinese labor cost has gone up and people are moving to Vietnam next door. Although Vietnam, of course, has a smaller population than China. And then China's population itself has started to decrease. And the expectation is that because of the decrease in their population, their rate of economic growth is going to slow down. And it's slowing down already.
All right, let's take another phone call, 44930. A lot of interesting numbers there presented by Mark Murray, an economist himself. Hello, talk to me, yeah?
Good morning, Mr. PLJ. Thank you for taking my call.
Good morning, sir. Yes.
I appreciate you for coming into Q to share this information. I remember it was a few years back here on DBS Talking Point, and we get caught up. But I also watch a podcast with Tim Durrell, and as a research scientist myself, I'm very familiar with these chemicals we're talking about. But here's what we need to look at. So the numbers that you gave earlier with Matt of migration. We also have to look at, and these are projects I can tell you that I know someone is working on migration and immigration. And with these chemicals, it did affect Martinique, and you're correct. If you look at Martinique, you may not find it because it is unregistered under France. But these chemicals are very much the same. One of the differences in the chemicals that they use, one of them is really it's one of the chemicals in there, it's TDI, which is also the same chemical that is used in making foam, which I use at Astephen's in Dominica. When I worked there, they were making foam. And that one does reduce the chances of reproductive male. That is shortened name for TDI. Now, every country with this situation is different. It affects Martinique. Mark is correct that Martinique has one of the highest prostate cancer as a result of that. Men. Now, Martinique, despite the serious issue they have, the population grew, one, because economic day is better. So in Dominica, you have a situation where, let's look at these two islands, huge difference. In Martinique, someone who's about 19, 20 years old, single mom, has a child, they get very good assistance from the government. In Dominica, it's the opposite way. So you're also correct in the fact of the prime time to have children between the ages of 19 and 32. Now, again, if you look at somebody in Dominica, 19, 21 years old, having a child, most chances are about 90%, that person, young individual, teenager, is going to be living at his or her parents. So which means the more burden the parents have to take care of the child, right? Now, if you look at, let's say, Martinique, for example, even if you go even bigger, in Canada, in France, some of those countries, they actually pay people to have children, they take care of that. So you cannot really compare that because the biggest problem in Dominica with birth is really economic. I agree with you, when in the late 90s, early 90s, they were using this thing called teenage pregnancy. It worked effectively because contraceptives and the Catholics call it family planning, all that is correct. But put apples to apples. The main problem in Dominica, and I don't have those numbers in front of me, the main problems in Dominica is that the economy in Dominica does not make the atmosphere right for people to have children. Because we have to look at what we have. The prime time, biologically, the prime time that studies across the globe recommend to have children, for families to have children, is really from 22 to 32, which means that person have a chance to go to college, maybe had a chance to graduate and get a job out of the 4-year college, but they are stable enough, then they can have children, the potential they can to themselves. In Dominica, you have people who are 30, 40 years old having children and still living at the parents' home because they can't afford it. Now, the other point that you make, and we look at that because we always look at election results every year and we see migration and immigration. The other thing that you are not talking about, which I think is a critical piece, the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even 80s, when people migrated out of Dominica to go to England and some other countries, that's when you had situations like you could go to Cocktail in the US, which is a program under this current government that Dominica has lost. Nobody from Dominica can go and do agricultural work in the United States. They can go to Canada places, but because of certain situations or you call it partnership, they are sending certain countries, and I can tell you that because I have a business. That's what I do on immigration. People, the US told me, Dominica is cut off from the program. So that's one. The other thing too, around 1995, somewhere there, we did have quite a bit of people migrate out of Dominica. Political thing changes, all of that happened. But I have researched this myself, and I have not finished it, but I can show to you, I can prove to you the biggest challenge in Dominica, why our population is dying. And I give you credit for coming up here and talk about it, but we don't have in some cases more death than birth. But the biggest issue in Dominica is the economic environment. In Dominica, here's what's concerning is that and Mark, I give a lot of credit because his numbers are very good, Matt. in terms of birth rate and death rate, and that he has researched it. And I get some of this information sometimes on immigration. I go to the statistics pocket, and I get some of this information that I go to electoral office. I get some of that there. The main hurdle is people in Dominica are not financially secure enough to have children. And there's many ways you can do that, because we have lost a lot of jobs, a lot of factories. But what NAC I would like you to look into, look between 2000 and 2006, or even you can go back to 1998. Look at 1998 to like it's about 2018, even before COVID. Look at that. You will find more professionals in Dominica migrated out of Dominica. Professionals, people have what so-called well-paid job, whether they were principals, whether they work in the Ministry of Finance, whether they were technocrats in Dominica, has left Dominica because of Dominica economic problem. And I mean, I'm not your guest here, back to the guest, but Matt, we need to have, Mark, I would like us to sit down face to face and have a serious discussion, honest with the people of Dominica, because what you are doing is very, very good work. I commend you for it. But we need to be upfront with the people of Dominica. One of the biggest issue is that the economic situation in Dominica is really stifling the birth rate in Dominica. I do not agree with the fact that it cannot change. It can change. If you are able to be a government that can make opportunities available for young people to help them in certain areas, like instead of all this housing that is being built and they're giving it to partisan people, help young professionals get an area where the government employees can have a loan system where they build a house, and these young people, instead of leaving Dominica, they know they have a house. It is $200 a month they pay. They get a title. That will help grow the population, because we saw it happen in the early 90s. I think it's after late 80s when the Freedom Party was in government. They build homes in different areas and they give these young people these houses, and they will pay as little as $200 a month, and they get a title. So they know they have a house, they can stay in the country and work. Anyway, thank you guys for your time. I didn't need to take all that time. But
Thank you. You said a lot this morning. Mac, the point is, based on the exchange we had there with this young scientist, is that the economy. This is why people are not making babies. So you agree?
But I don't know why people can't understand it. It's a simple thing. The economy is what we do. The economy doesn't exist outside of us. You follow? If I plant bananas, then we have bananas to sell or to eat. If I don't do anything, well, nothing happens. So it's a question of how do we get things to happen.
You don't think that the young people themselves are creating these kind of opportunities?
No. Well, young people now, Dominica, more young people. I usually the thing that keeps puzzling me, that all politicians, whether they in or out government, talking about the youth. Look, the young lady won the Olympic medal. They're talking about building a track and so on, so the youth can go and practice and so on, and hopefully they will win a medal sometime later. But there are no youth who want to go on the track.
You don't think we have enough young people in Dominica?
No. Yeah, well, you can go check the numbers. No, let's just consider this. Let's just start with this. If 658 people were born in 2022, 5 years from 2022, which would be 2027, there can only be 658 children to go to all the first grade in all the primary schools in Dominica. Those children, if assuming none of them die or go away or whatever, will be 658 children who will be taking the grade 12 exam to go into the first form of all the secondary schools in Dominica. 5 years later, they're going to graduate high school. It's only 658 that there will be to graduate from high school, and so on, and that continues like that. So there'll be like, let's say everybody leaves high school and looks for a job. You know, some people will of course go to university and this and that. But let's say 600, they all go look for a job. The only 658 people that year who left high school looking for a job or trying to make a business for themselves or whatever. So we cannot say let the economy boom first, and then we'll make children. But how the economy going to boom now is you to boom it. You can't stay at your home and say, well, the economy boom. It's not like rain, you know. Like if you live someplace where the Dawaska doesn't have water and so on and so forth, then you're depending on the rain to fall where they have water. So you say, boy, why the rain not falling? The rain should fall, because you don't have any effect directly on the rain to say, okay, rain, I need you to fall tonight because my water tank is empty. It's not that.
Because
It's that you have to go and get water and put
because
in the tank.
most of your critics this morning saying Mark knows that it's the economy that's the main
But the
problem.
economy is everybody there are a lot of books out there talking about the fact that in the Western world, in the world, the only part of the world that the population is actually growing is in Africa. Okay? And it's expected that by the turn of the century, even before, Nigeria will have the largest population in the world. It will surpass China and India. India now has the largest population in the world. China is in second place. Okay? Because China's population is declining rather pretty steady. Yeah? So there are lots of people who are concerned about this thing as to how do they maintain the economy when their population is falling? Because there's something we kind of forget about economic history, is that the economic growth that has happened since, basically say since the Industrial Revolution, 18th century, has been accompanied by an increase in the population pretty much everywhere. And so the question comes about now, how do we keep the economic growth going when the population pretty much everywhere is declining? Okay?
But Mark, the point you're making earlier, we are past that stage. We can't.
We cannot incentivize Dominican women to make more children, because there are too few women in childbearing age in Dominica now. So there's only one way we can get out of the trap. It's to have an immigration program. So
invite
people to come to live in Dominica with us. Otherwise, we will simply keep sliding down that slope, because there is no way to recover. You know, it's like driving a car. Before the car starts to skid, yes, you can stop the car. If the car starts to skid and you hadn't put on your brakes at the right time, the car is going to fall over the precipice because you can't control it. And this is where we are. When I written these papers and so on there in early 2000s, there was a chance of putting in some kind of program and thought and so on as to how you get people to make more children. But now it's too late, because even if those women who can make children respond, their response will be too feeble, because there are too few of them.
Interesting.
Just for example, just to give you a kind of anecdotal thing there. I bank, like most people, at the National Bank of Dominica, and usually I go to the head office. And one day I'm seeing a lot of the people there, I think most of the people who work there are women. There's one pregnant woman in the bank, a young woman. And I always try to go to her to tell her, congratulations, blah, 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 how is things going, blah, blah, and that sort of thing, you know? And I realized, but it's kind of weird. You know, all these people there who are all of childbearing age, none of them is pregnant, except this person. And as far as I can remember, like that is the only pregnant person I ever saw in the bank. Maybe because there's upstairs and offices and so on and so forth, where usually you go to do your banking, you don't go upstairs unless you go for a loan or something. But I was walking around Roseau.
A few people.
Yeah, and then like I talk with some women and so on, and there's this lady I met. She works for an OECS organization, and she said that she has 3-4 children and so on and so forth. And then the discussion we're having, essentially, she's telling me that, well, when she comes to work and she's pregnant and so on, Before when it started, everybody was saying, wow, glad for you, blah, 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 blah. But now, later on, when this happen like a third or fourth child, it's ill last. It's like, it's like she come down the wrong, she have cancer. It's ill last. Instead of telling, instead of saying, oh, glad for you, and so on and so forth, I want to be the godmother, blah, blah, blah. You tell essentially ill last. What a catastrophe that befall you.
On the telephone, very interesting discussion going on there. Hello, talk to me on the telephone before a break, yes?
It's the Thursday morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning to you, guys, also.
Good morning.
Madam, hearing certain things that trouble my mind. Let me start with the last thing I heard before I decide to make the call. Your guest talk about an immigration program to increase population. I'm not for that. That doesn't make sense to me.
You're not for that, you said? You're not for that?
It doesn't make sense to me, so that's why I'm not for it. Let me tell you something. Let me give you my views. First of all, an immigration.
Something happened to your phone, my brother. You might have to call back. We're going to take a break, though. We come back. Mac Murray is our guest. We're talking depopulation and population here, right here on Q. Stick around.
If you know your favorite store, dial it now. 612-1253. That's Mega. You can rely on Mega for some real deals on name brand clothing and electronics. High quality, low price. We are a wholesale and retail store located in Calabashi, right on the main road. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram at Mega Deals Dominica. Like our page. Check out our stuff. Call us, visit us. Would appreciate that. Come try it on. Love it. Buy it at Mega Deals. Your one and only online and brick and mortar store. Mega Deals is also on wheels. We make it convenient for your shopping. We deliver straight to your door. Email us at info@megadealsda.com. Rely on Mega Deals for some real deals.
Creole Handmade features the legendary Raymond Lawrence and members of the Comité Poétique Creole with their new publication, Anu Upon Creole, a basic guide for teaching and learning the Creole language, while at the same time promoting and preserving this rich, expressive medium of communication, which is such an integral part of Dominica's cultural heritage. Anu Upon Creole. This Friday, September 6th on the big station Q95 FM from 11 a.m. Anu Upon Creole will allow our learners to interact with each other as they learn the language through a number of activities, including identifying objects in photographs and illustrations, role-playing through short dialogues, and self-testing by working on simple exercises. Anu Upon Creole. Sponsored by Digicel and hosted by Prince Wadix, and will also be live on Q95 Facebook page and YouTube channel. Anu Upon the Creole, focusing on both oral and written Creole. However, emphasis is placed on spoken Creole in an effort to have the learner achieve basic communication skills in the Creole language by responding to very simple and basic commands and questions. Anu Upon Creole. Learners will be encouraged to use simple sentences and phrases related to practical everyday situations. The objective is to encourage proper pronunciation and intonation in Creole. Anu Upon Creole. Each module will include photographs or illustrations, a list of relevant vocabulary, short dialogues, and some simple sentences. Anu Upon Creole. This Friday from 11 a.m. on Q95 FM, the big station, Creole Handmade. Connecting Dominica to its history. Creole Handmade, a front row seat into the culture of Dominica.
KFC celebrating 18 years. Oh, stop that! KFC celebrating 18 years of finger licking goodness. Celebrate our 18th birthday and get yourself a birthday box. One thigh, one leg, 2 piece wings, 1 fries, 1 corn, only for $18. 18 gifts and prizes to be won. KFC celebrating 18 years. KFC celebrating 18 years. Oh, stop that! So go and get yourself a birthday box. Go get a birthday box. Go and get yourself a birthday box. KFC celebrating 18 years of finger-licking goodness.
All right, Dominic, we're back. A lot of finger pointing there.
Let me just say something about the population thing there.
Tell me.
It's a situation where everybody makes a decision that is best for himself.
Right.
Then when we all make a decision that's best for ourselves, we end up with a decision that's terrible for all of us. For example, the traffic in Roseau there, although we are no people, but if you live at Maho and you have to come to town to work, yeah, you have to take the bus and so on. You have to wait until the bus is ready to go and etc. So you're not entirely free to go when you want.
Right.
So you get the idea, you have a little money, you buy a little car. Because you don't need a big one, it's just you and maybe another person that will be driving in that most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the people in Canefield decide, for the same reason, they want to buy a car too, because they can go when they want and so on. You see what happens under the cliff in the morning at 8 o'clock? Everybody's sitting in his car there for a whole hour before they can get to Roseau, because we each took an individual decision that is best for us, and that decision ends up being terrible for all of us. When we get to Roseau, we can't find a place to park.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's happening. It's each person taking the decision by himself that is best for him. And then it ends up being bad for all of us, which is why you have to have a coordinating agency like the government that will decide on certain things for us. For example, back to the traffic thing there, everybody says, well, the government must, because it's the government that can do something about that. Either you ban cars coming to Roseau like they've done in London.
Because everybody wants a bus, man.
Yeah?
Like everybody wants to own a bus.
Yes.
So we could have, just a few coordinated bus lines.
Right.
We have to control that.
Right.
You said it has to be controlled.
Yeah. But the problem is, if everybody does what's best for him, and then we all try to do it at the same time, then we all find ourselves stuck, cannot do anything. So that's what partly what has happened. And then we can rule out biology, and people at Dominica, we like to say we are a farming country, etc. should know that. For example, if you have chickens or animals or whatever, sometimes they don't breed. And it's not because they're thinking, well, it's a bad idea to breed because the master going to cut off my children's head later on. It's because they have some biological problem that prevents them from breeding. So there are two in human beings who have a greater capacity to think and take action for themselves. There is that, and then there is you might call it pure biological factor. Because we know, for example, that a woman who has a first child in her 30s is going to have a more difficult pregnancy than a girl who's 18, 19. So is a girl 14, 15 have difficulty with a pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so the two people are, so to speak, at the end of the two ends of the childbearing range. If you're too close to the beginning of childbearing, or you're too far to the end, close to the end of childbearing, you're having problems with childbearing.
I'll tell you more telephone calls. There's a few voice notes as well. Very interesting discussion there. Hello, yes? Call, are you there? No, you're not. Let's take this call. Are you there? Yes.
Yes, Matt. Good morning.
Yes, sir. Something happened to you. Sorry, your telephone went the goose there. Hello, yes?
Hey, Mr. President.
Yes, you're back.
Morning.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking earlier, and I don't know from where you all heard where I started cut off. I spoke.
You say you didn't agree with the immigration thing. That's what the last discussion I had. Yes.
I was saying that St. Lucia and the other Caribbean countries that are now developed with larger populations, there will be Miss Dominica before. Dominica was more advanced to some extent. They didn't have to set up an immigration program. All they had to do is develop their economy. And then they had population increase. Now, all I am saying, you know me as a straightforward person, I call it as it is. Roosevelt Skerrit has mismanaged the economy of Dominica, right? That is why we have a decrease in population, because you have more migration, you have more people dying because of lack of medicals and all the different stuff. You have less people children giving birth to because of the economy is so tight. People don't know how they're going to take care of certain children. And what we need is an economic development, because you want people to automatically choose to come to live to Dominica, not by setting up a program to say, all right, I don't know how they're going to say, how the OPS said that the program would have set up, because I know in other countries, when they set up this program, they give you incentives. Where you come, they give you a piece of land, they give you money every year and this kind of thing, just to live in the country, to increase the population. But lastly, when I go back and listen, and I heard you all talking about the congestion and the traffic and the thing. Things are running normal as a country is supposed to run. If a young person or 2, 3, 4, 5 get vehicles, it is normal. It is their right to get it. Why we having these problems is because, same thing again, Roosevelt Skerrit has mismanaged the economy, so everything becomes centralized to Roseau. Look at here is it, we had Portsmouth. We had Ross University in Portsmouth. We had increased in employment and all these things. We had a percentage of the population going up to Portsmouth and within Portsmouth area getting employed and living in Portsmouth area. So that means things are being spread over the place. But now you get rid of Ross. Everybody come down Roseau looking for a job. So it's because of mismanagement of the economy and not actually bringing more development to the country where it can decentralize things and have things spread around Dominica where people can be employed and not leave their location and go too far to get employment. That's why we are actually suffocating with all this nonsense that is going on. So blame Roosevelt Skerrit and his government and be straightforward to show it. He's an economist. He's supposed to know that.
So you're blaming Roosevelt Skerrit for people not having babies then?
I'm
asking you a question. Are you blaming Roosevelt Skerrit for people not having babies?
Yes, also. Why? Because you just your guest established is bad economy. People cannot really think because of bad economy and they move into other countries and you have a decrease in population. Who messing up the economy for people? It's the leadership messing up the economy. That's why people doesn't have enough coming to their coffers where they can make decisions on babies and childbearing and all this different stuff.
Again, let's go back to Mark. Mark, the issue again, I don't think people are getting the message that you're trying to pass at this time, because for you, the economy is not the issue. The economy is not the issue why people are not having
the problem with the population affects the economy negatively.
Repeat.
In other words, the economy would be functioning better if there were more people here. Part of the problem. But for example, they just announced increasing rates for the Wasco. Part of the reason is because there are not enough people consuming the water that the Wasco has available for sale, because the cost of setting up the equipment and so on, they could service maybe 3 times as many people as they actually are servicing. So those few people who are connected have to pay for the whole thing. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
So just a simple thing like that would make your water bill go down if there were more people connected. Because, like, for example, when they put water for us up at Coptall there, the first time I got my bill, I said, wow, I'm supposed to be a big consumer. If that's my bill, and I'd heard something about the cost of setting up the equipment, I just make a calculation. I say, but they'll never recover the money from the expenses they need to set up the system, because they're not going to be selling enough water to collect enough money at the rates that will be in charge. And even now, maybe the rates are probably still too low. So what really would bring down everybody's water rate was to have more people connected to the system. But if they're not enough people, well, simply those who have water use the water they need.
Would you agree that we have
because for example, up here we have lots of people with relatively large houses.
Mhm.
But most of them have 2 people. They're not going to use much water. If you follow what I mean. But there is big pipe underground and all these connections and so on that are there, and each house has 2 people.
I get you.
And a couple guest houses and so on.
Would you agree that we have mass migration
In
Dominica?
1980 to 1990, about 20% of the population, 15,000 people or so, migrated.
Migrated,
Yeah.
but not now.
No, it's a lot less now because Dominica, partly because there are less people to emigrate.
On the telephone, let's go back to the telephone. Hello, yes. Are you there?
Good morning, Matt.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, Mark. I kind of read slower, but I try to understand something. Because Mary was saying that economy is what you do, right? Now, they made reference to people buying vehicles, right? And making decisions which affect everybody. So I kind of pause there because the economy is what you do. You do things, you have money invested to buy vehicles, whatever it's buses or so. So you try to make a turnover and get things working. So I try to understand the part where the economy is what you do. Because in the present situation, Dominica, you have mass migration. I call it mass migration because where I am at, the number of Dominicans are up here right now. And all of them are looking. Their jobs. That's why they live in Dominica because
I don't know what happened to your phone, but Mark, here's a question for you that makes sense, huh? St. Kitts has a smaller population than Dominica, but a more vibrant economy than us. Thousands of Dominicans have migrated to St. Kitts, yeah?
Well, here's an interesting situation. Why don't thousands of people immigrate to Dominica then? We should have thousands of people immigrating to Dominica, and maybe the economy would be more vibrant. Okay, but just to go to Antigua. Antigua actually has a higher rate outward migration of Antiguans, but Antigua population has been rising because Antigua takes the view for quite a long while. And if you've ever heard about something called a belonger, there's a kind of, I'm not sure what to call it, but anyway, it's a situation where if your grandfather or whatever had any connection with Antigua, you are allowed to come and settle in Antigua. And Antigua has lots of people from all over the Caribbean. Guyana, quite a lot of Guyanese, Dominicans, Jamaicans, people from Santo Domingo, etc. are in Antigua, and that has helped Antigua's population to continue to rise. Back in the 60s, 70s, Antigua and Dominica had about,
So going back to your point,
the same population.
So migration will help, you said.
Antiguans were migrating out of Antigua, but the government of Antigua said, well, we can't stop them from going, but we can allow other people to come to replace them. And their population has risen and passed Dominica's population. They're all 80,000 people going. Yeah.
All right, let's see if we can take a phone call.
Your economy cannot grow when your population is aging and or declining.
Hello on the telephone, yes?
Yes, Matt. Again.
You're good.
I do not have me puzzle.
He has you puzzle?
I do not have me.
Okay.
I do have me puzzle. Because he's saying about more people. The economy doesn't have the effect. As you just was saying, Ross University closed. People have to run, go overseas and get jobs. Coca-Cola, whatever it is, go down. Everything went down, right? People have to go away, man. Now, if you had the jobs in the country, as you like to say about St. Kitts, if you had the job in the country, probably people have stayed. I don't understand what you're telling me. What are you telling me?
I think we have paused there. Matt, this is a very timely program. Matt, please ask Mark if the types of food or excess alcohol could be causes for the decline. Would you speak to that? Yeah?
Yes, I did say excess alcohol consumption by men in Dominica is affecting their fertility.
The alcohol?
Yes. But that's gonna ask any doctor.
So, young man, you have to take a note of that. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Matt, morning.
Morning, sir.
But that have a lot to do with the economy, brother man. I tell you that straight off. Because let me tell you something. When the Workers' Party was there before, I know they had whatever. But people wasn't hustling and struggling like that.
I don't know what is going on the telephone there, but a lot of people try to call in there. We get zapped out of that conversation. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Keep trying because of the... Yes, go ahead.
Matt, that line might have a problem.
Well, it
But
seems
let
all
me-
lines are having problems, yes?
Let me use it quickly. Do you know, and you have an economist there, and let me refer that if you want. We use EC dollar in the Caribbean there. But let's say between St. Kitts, Antigua, St. Lucia, and places, and even Dominica, the value of the EC dollar is greater than the EC dollar in Dominica. The same EC dollar we use, but the value of it in these countries is higher than in Dominica. And what is the cause of that? Mismanagement of the economy. You understand what I'm saying?
You're saying it's higher?
More spending power outside in those countries there than in Dominica. You get less for your money. You understand? Now, on the other hand, mismanagement of the economy, you have more people begging, more poverty.
All right, somebody says, sorry about that again. Men love sex and refuse to take responsibility for when pregnancy comes. So women don't want to make children and responsibility stay with them. This is a factor as well. So the fact that somebody's saying that men love to have sex, but they don't like the responsibility that follows. So men don't want to make children and the responsibility will stay with them. This is a factor as well. This is a woman talking.
Yes, but what we should do, which is maybe more in the domain of the people who are religious leaders and so on there, is that we should encourage people to get married. Like my son got married when he was 22 years old. He just called me one day and tell me, hey, Ghost, I getting married Saturday. I say, sure.
Okay.
And I remember being by an insurance agent. I was paying the insurance for my car and so on, and he was with me. And I turned to him and I said to him about your wife. And the lady almost had a heart attack. So she told me and said, Mr. Mary, did you say wife? I said, yeah, he have wife. I said, yeah, he married, he has wife, yes. So, and she like, off a chat in her head.
She's a
as
mid.
to how
Too young to get married.
Yeah, on top of which he looks younger than he is 22 or 23 years old. He looked younger.
Yes.
But the idea that a married person is a person that half dead, that's how we imagine a married person.
And somebody in sports can have kids. That's a perception as well.
Yeah.
Somebody, playing football or playing netball.
Yeah, and especially with women and so on, there's this idea that if you are married, somehow you cannot have fun anymore. So if you like playing netball, you might even be on the Dominica team and so on, then you got married. Well, you have to stop. Why? But why? So why should you stop?
They pack
Because you got married.
So you're packed.
Yeah. You. So the idea of getting married and having children is as if life comes to an end, And
Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Are you there, caller? Hello, nobody there. Let's try the telephone. Too many phone calls. So, hold on, man. Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Matt, a question again because you didn't answer my question. The question is why you talk about immigration, right? Why aren't young people flocking to Dominica like they're flocking to Antigua, St. Kitts? They're not. Why they're not coming to Dominica?
All right, let me have him answer the question. Why are people not coming to Dominica, man?
Because the immigration department and the labor department and so on set up in the 1960s, basically. And their job has been to keep people out as much as possible and to make sure Dominican people have jobs. So the entire approach of the immigration department and everything and the whole government policy is not to say, please come, we'll make it easy for you. We'll make it as hard as possible for a person to come to Dominica and become a resident.
I was talking to an employee, who was trying to get workers to come in, and He says
An
it's
employer, you mean?
An employer, sorry. And he says it's very difficult to get workers in Dominica because they have some issues with the labor division.
Yes, that's so, because that is the mentality we have there, is that their job is to keep foreigners away from work and to make sure, and what as they can make sure
protect the
that
Dominican job and
Dominican have jobs. But many people run into the problem where they have nobody to work. Because although there's a lot of no work, I walk around on town and I see signs on Chinese shops, you might say, saying employers here wanted, here man wanted, blah 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 blah. And I see the sign there for like 2 months and so on, which means, well, the people probably don't want that job, but
that happens a lot in Dominica. They don't want a particular job,
right? So, which probably doesn't exist. But if you want it, you'd have to go create it yourself.
Hello, yes.
Yeah, good morning, Matt.
Good morning, sir.
Let's talk about the population decrease in Dominica. But there are a number of factors that can affect that. I mean, you have to look at the composition of the workforce and who gets the higher wages. Right now in Dominica, we have mostly women that have control key positions in Dominica. The men are working maybe not much money. Most men cannot maintain a family. So what you find, women working and they have less time for leisure. So therefore, naturally, women like fun, so there's less leisure time for the women to have relationships with men and men who can support them. So therefore, that can cause a decrease in the population. Another reason is economic, as you said, economics. That deals with the policy of the government and the disposable income of the family. So you'll find that because the disposable income comes from other Caribbean countries, for example, we find that the disposable income is higher in those other Caribbean countries. So naturally, people gravitate to those countries. And if the government increases the salaries of the workers, naturally people will stay in Dominica. And combine that with the policy of even incentive for child bearing, that will increase. And that's one thing that the salary of Dominicans are low. I will blame the union. The Prime Minister has right to keep 0.00 every trillion. And it's up to the union to demand more. So right now, I think the unions are very weak, and the nurses are leaving because the union are not representing properly. Teachers and everybody, the skilled workers in the countries are leaving because the union are not demanding higher wages because the other countries are competing for our brains, and they are succeeding, and we are not realizing that. So the government, those policies there, I believe that's affecting our growth rate. Thank you.
All right. Somebody's saying there, we can speak to that in a minute. Somebody's saying there was a massive migration immediately after Maria. Dominicans, of course, after Maria, Dominicans left. Ross University students, all since students, the last 5 years, massive migration because of a Haitian population in Dominica. Would you agree, man?
What the last part there is a massive migration.
Yes, because
of the
Haitian
Haitians
population. A lot of people came in because of Haitians came in. Yeah.
After
but recently I can make the point a lot of Haitians left as well, huh?
Yes. You know why they left? Let me explain why they left. That's because President Biden, because of the problems in Haiti, made a decision that any Haitian who was able to get to America in a legal port, at on the airport or some place of the sort, would be welcomed in America. So some of those who were here, their relatives in the US or wherever, sent them a ticket and they went. And part of the reason they went was because a lot of them here was like kind of try to help as much as I can, having the greatest difficulty with the same problem at the Labor Department, that nobody's deporting them, but nobody is welcoming them and say, here's your card, go and work every 6 months, every year you have to go and get a work permit for which you have to pay, and spinning around and around. So there is not you might say, a welcome mat that's spread out for immigrants. And then I don't know why they're not understanding that the Social Security depends on workers paying in. But if you have this group of people who cannot join the social security system, that means they're not going to be paying in. You know?
All right, let's see if we can take a lot of text messages.
So there are a lot of things that we have to rethink in Dominica. For example, I'll kind of go off track a little bit there on the population thing there. I meet quite a few, youngish or people, and I ask them, so you use ChatGPT? You know what ChatGPT is, Matt?
No.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You don't know what ChatGPT is?
Tell me.
Oh, bon day. You hear about artificial intelligence?
Yes, I know about that, yes.
Well, like ChatGPT.
Okay.
ChatGPT is the most well-known artificial intelligence platform. Yeah. But here's ChatGPT, the things that can do, computer can think for you. And up to now, we cannot teach children in school how to write a computer program. Learning to write computer program was irrelevant because ChatGPT can write the computer program for you, but faster than you can write it for yourself.
Artificial intelligence.
Yes. Yeah, if I want to write you a letter to say I'm going to sue, I just tell the thing, blah, blah, blah. Write Mr. Letter, tell him I want $10,000 million because he infamed me. Blah, 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 blah. In 3 seconds, the letter is written better than any lawyer can write it.
Let's see if we can take a phone call. Hey, yes, hello?
Matt,
Yes.
I think that by the way last call. So if all what I'm hearing, right, about the Labor Department, this and that, how do you get more people in Dominica, as Mark said, to get things rolling? Because you need people in the country. What are you going to get in? Is it just a design? The thing is there's stock and there's stock that gets resolved. So it looks like you're stock in. Because if we try to address the problem, and then we straight off the bat, we are saying that, this is what is happening. So how are you going to solve the problem? How are you going to get people to come to Dominica? And as I said, now, you talk about the Haitians living because of President Biden. Matt, the jobs are not available. That's why they live in Dominica. They can get jobs when they come to Sneezy, send kids and Matt. They get work. That's why they live in Dominica. I mean, Mark has to be clear and real, you know? We can't be sugarcoating this thing and talking all God is this great I call it excuses, but the fact remains that people not coming to Dominica. How are you going to increase the population? People not coming.
So would you agree we have to change our immigration policies? Or migration? Would you agree that we have to change our migration policies?
But that's what I'm saying, not so we just say that's stuff that gets no results. Because we have a problem then. How are you going to get people to Dominica? Who going to change the policy? I mean, all these fancy, I call them excuses about the Labor Department and the President Biden and this and that. You need people in it. But listen, the OECS have a policy, you know, on migration where so Dominica not adopt their policy. They can come in for 6 months without whatever. Dominica is excluded from that. The OECS migration issue where you can go to Dominica for 6 months without whatever and work and so. That's not applicable in Dominica? Is it?
Oh boy.
Is that not applicable in Dominica?
Well, I don't know if I should answer. I can answer that question, but it's clear. It's clear that we're having some issues. We're having some issues as it relates to the immigration or migration, because just last week I was having a conversation with a farmer who said he's been applying for these permits to get employment, and they're having a lot of struggle there.
So what we do now, Matt, is stop that, get no results. Because you need more people in the country, and coming anyway and talking and giving these excuses. You need the people in the country. And that is why young people are flocking to Dominica. That's why they're going to Antigua, they're going to send kids, they're going to Nevis, they're going to send Martin because they're getting work. That's the bottom line. And no matter how much you sugarcoat and talk about this policy and that policy, the bottom line, people go where they feel they can make a better living, live a better life. So I don't understand this thing, because If we're just talking about all these red tape, then let's talk about getting no results. We'll be just talking for the next 10 years, 20 years, and the population will not be believing. Not in a place that every day you go to the supermarket, you meet a new Dominican working as a cashier or whatever. It's real. That is what is happening. So I don't understand if them guys are not aware of what's going on. But you need more people in the country. And if you say you have this red tape, this immigration, and have to change the policy, when the policy going to change? So in the next 15 years, we'll be talking just regulatory reform. In the next 15 years, we're talking about getting regulatory reform. Man, this is talk that gets the results. It's better than that.
All right, caller, thank you very much. Let's move on. It's 10:34. You wanted to make a point, Mark? Let's take a phone call. Are you there, caller?
Yes,
yeah?
Matt. Madam, trying all the time to get you and Mr. Mary.
Yes.
First of all, I have to compliment Mr. Mary for a very good program, right? You make a lot of sense. But when he speaks about the economy, that is the people who have to think the economy, I don't agree with that part of it. The powers that be must make the economy vibrant, that people can operate in the economy. I'll give you an idea, Matt. In Liverpool, when you had the banana industry and you had farmers, because there was an industry and farmers could sell their bananas, then people could plant bananas and know that there's a ready market. What do you have to do? What market do you have to do? When you say that we have to do our own economy, there must be ways and means so that you can get things done, so that you at the end of the day it's profitable. But nobody going to do things if it's not profitable. And people are going to have children if they can't maintain the children, Matt. Have a nice day, Mr. Murray.
All right, thank you very much. The economy. A major talking point this morning. 10:35. Hello, yes.
Good morning, Matt.
Good morning to you, sir.
Okay, Matt, I don't know if I'm getting this gentleman right. And according to him, population and the economy must go hand in hand. They go together. They should. Is that what he said?
Yes. Yes.
Good. But Matt, that also comes with planning and with the enabling environment for those who want for the economy to grow. If we do not have the enabling environment, we're going to have a situation like what has happened in Haiti before, where the population has just grown exponentially and the economy has plummeted. Education, and just to have the population grow is not enough now, because years ago, to send the child to primary school in the early days, that was education. Then it increased, it improved that you had to send your child to secondary school, and that was education. Then you had to go to college, and that was education. Today, if you don't have to go to university, you do not have an education. And so to just say that we need population growth in order that the economy will grow, that is not true. It must be planned and must be sustained both by government, and that is why every Sunday, the gentleman says, elections have consequences. And so if we have a government that is not creating the enabling environment for the economy to grow, we will see the population growing and people are diving deeper and deeper into poverty. Earlier on, the gentleman made reference to the number of births in Dominica in 1 year. Did he also consider the number of deaths that we had that year and the number of persons who have left Dominica and have not returned? And so our population in Dominica, as I've always said, Dominica is one of the islands in the Caribbean with a dying or dwindling population. So our economy cannot grow. It is going to die just like the population, because there's no way you're going to open a supermarket in Dominica and you have nobody to work in it. There is no way that you... And it is not happening, because what is happening is that rather than doing that, we have had businesses closing in Dominica almost on a daily basis. And so the population and the economy must go together, but all things must be right for them to grow in sync. Unless that is the case, we will just be creating poverty, unemployment, and uneducated people. And that depends on the government and the choices that we make. So people must understand that elections have consequences. Good morning, Matt.
Okay, good morning. Somebody's saying, Matt, tell Mr. Mark, in the 80s, we had a bigger population and a better economy. Today, we have a smaller population and a smaller economy. Compare what Mark is saying towards the countries in Africa that has a large population and low economy. Ask him what's his perspective on that. Is that true?
Explain that again. Maybe.
He says somewhere, some part of Africa, we
Yeah,
have a
sure.
larger population
Mhm.
and a low economy. Ask him what's his, and in Dominica in the 80s, we had a bigger population and better economy. How do you contrast and compare?
Well, the population in Dominica during the 1980s, you go back and check the statistics, were about the same as they are now. But that is in the 80s, when most people moved out of Dominica. It's a kind of, let's say, contradictory thing, because for sure, in the 1980s, the economy grew.
Because
was going on like 8% and so on there. For two reasons. One, the hurricane decimated the housing structures.
Mhm.
Two, the Berlin Wall hadn't fallen yet. It fell in 1989. You know, the accident that after 1989, the banana business collapsed with it. Yes. So the banana business was heavily protected and subsidized. And that's when we had lots of bananas, 1988 or whatever. We exported $103 million worth of bananas. That's the most we ever exported. Yeah. And that's because the United States and the Great Britain had decided to support the banana business so that there was less opportunity for us to go Cuba or Grenada away. Yes, so that happened in 1989. The Berlin Wall falls, and we have a unipolar world, so there's nowhere to go. One of the first United States did actually was to close the USAID office in Barbados. Few people remember that. The question about the size of the population and the growth of the population. Well, part of it there is you are reading stories that are written by people who are not necessarily friendly to with Africa and Africans, because the economy in Rwanda for sure is growing pretty good. In Ethiopia, it's growing very good. Nigeria is growing pretty okay, except that they have a potential problem in Nigeria where they might have a second Biafran civil war. There's some political problems in Nigeria. I don't know if people remember the first Biafran civil war. But anyway, the Biafrans or the Igbo people, more specifically, some of whom claim to be Jews, by the way, don't get along with the rest of the groups in Nigeria. Okay? So there's a thing called in demography called a demographic dividend. That demographic dividend occurs when the largest part of your population are people within the working age group. So you have a relatively young population and young adults who are able and available to work. And you must recognize that and use the right policies to get them to produce a large amount of output. And then your economy can kick off. Yeah. So it's also depends, of course, on having the right policies and deciding what exactly you need to do. For example, some time ago in the early 2010s, there's this famous business guru from Harvard, Michael Porter, who came to Barbados and said to the Bajans that they would be pretty much wasting their time with tourism, that tourism had taken them as far as they can go, and they should be switching their economy to participate in the digital economy that was being built. Okay? And they're now trying to do that, in point of fact, a little later than his recommendation, but they're trying to do that. And by the way, Barbados is the most indebted country in the Caribbean, more than Dominica.
Let's again, we're going to take a voice note. There are a few voice notes coming in here. We have 18 more minutes. Stick on.
Good morning, Matt, and good morning, Mr. Murray. Very good, very, very good topic, very good conversation, very good discussion this morning. I think all throughout the world, population is probably one of the most, the topic that really gets people going. And I think listening to you and talk about Dominica's population, it is alarming and it is cause for concern. However, I was just trying to pull up some statistics. But if we look at Dominica and say places like St. Lucia and Antigua, the population over the last 20 years, let's just take the last 20 years, from 2000 to now, or 24 years or 23 years, we've seen an increase in their population, and Dominica's population continues to either stay the same or decline. Let's just take a classic example of just something so recent as the last election in 2019. We had loads and loads of Haitian immigrants moving to Dominica. Loads of Haitian immigrants. Unfortunately, Ross had just left, but they had settled in Portsmouth, and they seem to have been finding a way to, survive. We also had an influx of a lot of people from the Dominican Republic also. They set up business in Dominica. Portsmouth was known as, at one point, the fiesta capital of Dominica. There were bars and restaurants, and things were moving. People had money. All of a sudden, you go up to Portsmouth, you can barely find one Haitian immigrant who moved to Dominica. The Dominican Republic people, many of them have also left. We go to other islands. I mean, I used to travel regularly to an island like St. Martin, where they were literally sending, the government would pick up Haitians and send them back because Haitians did not want to leave St. Martin. I haven't been, I cannot speak for St. Lucia recently, but even a place like Antigua. So where there are opportunities, these people, they move to and they won't leave. They will stay and they will start having babies and the population will grow. So I do understand what you're talking about when you speak about the opportunities and the economy, but we have to look at everything holistically. It's not one thing impacts the other. But more so in Dominica's case, the fact that the opportunities have continued to decline, even people who move to Dominica are leaving. Even recently, we had a whole group of people from other islands because there seemed to have been a housing, even if it wasn't like a real housing boom, but there was some type of housing boom after Maria in Dominica. You had many immigrants coming from South and Central America. You had many immigrants coming from places like Venezuela and all these different Spanish countries. They were able to stay on because they had also had a boom for the hotel industry. All of a sudden, we're seeing many of these people, they're leaving Dominica or they've left Dominica because that is no longer feasible. So we have to look at it holistically. I think 20 years of the same has not given us the opportunities for us to build the population. Yeah, there are other factors, the health factors that you mentioned. I think they're real. We have a situation with our young people. The approach to life and family life and having babies, we have a situation where we have a lot of our men right now. Matt had it this morning, joining gangs. The value system is just not there anymore. Many of the young women, they prefer to, I guess, feel they have totally different approach towards family life. So it is a holistic approach. I think a lot of our problems come from they come from already a system problem. The way that the systems are not functioning the way that they are supposed to function and make them much more productive. It's creating a certain level of mediocrity in Dominica where people feel like, listen, this thing is not working for me, so I leave. Other people who are coming are not staying because the opportunities are going. So Dominica is a project by itself, a humongous project. And I think given the governing standards that exist in Dominica right now, they have to be fully examined to see whether they can change them to encourage people to come to Dominica and stay in Dominica and try to grow the population. But I will say that as a cautionary tale, though, because what you have highlighted is an opportunity, a huge opportunity for one very important country, or I don't know if it's important, that has its eye on Dominica, because the fact that Dominica is that vulnerable with its population, that could in the next 20 to 50 years, there are populations such as, the Chinese, who could see Dominica as a potential country for them to claim because we have such an issue with our local population. Thank you, Matt. Have a good day.
A lot of mouthful there. but something to consider. We have so many Chinese coming in there.
The person did make, we have Chinese immigrants, so it's like they have in Jamaica and Trinidad and so on. All these people, the first set of Chinese who came to the Caribbean came here.
Should we be concerned?
Actually came here supposedly to replace slaves who after emancipation to work on sugar plantations and so on. But he did make a statement about St. Lucia that's incorrect.
Okay.
Just to say two things.
Okay, go ahead.
St. Lucia has one of the best statistics offices in CARICOM, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So they have lots of statistics. They can go on their website and find all the statistics up to date and so on and so forth.
Our own is bad?
Yeah.
Our office is bad in terms of the figures that they...
Yeah, our office doesn't have enough people working in it and so on and so forth. So there are some statistics that they should be doing that they don't have the manpower to do. Because, I talk with them a lot. So I have a bit of understanding what they're going through. But there's something he said, St. Lucia's population is actually falling as well. They actually closing primary schools in St. Lucia like we are doing. Because that we are ahead of most people in CARICOM. Jamaica's total population is falling. I just saw something in Trinidad. There's a little concern about the population status in Trinidad. And the Prime Minister of Barbados in a New Year's greeting to Barbados identified the falling population and the aging population in Barbados as an economic problem which the government has to pay attention to, hopefully starting this year. So it's not, throughout the Caribbean we are having this problem. Dominica happens to be probably way out ahead, but it's a Caribbean thing. And in terms of the Caribbean as to where you get immigrants from, it pretty much only Haiti has immigrants available, Because Haiti has 12 million people. The median age of the population is about 18. Median age divides the population in two. Okay? So if you have, let's say, half of the population is 18 and younger, and the other half is older than 18. So they have a young population.
Let's listen to this voice now.
Matt, I will say this. Mark Murray can preach whatever he wants, but without a census, I'm not buying it. We need statistics. 13 years was the last census. You need census, you need data, right? You need statistics. You can't come to the people with anecdotal evidence. This does not work, right? Let's do this scientifically. I'm not talking about, I didn't see this one pregnant, I saw that one pregnant. No, let's have a discussion about the census, who's in Dominica, right? To talk about the importation of folks to grow the population. We can have that conversation after the scientific study is done that proves the point. Because as of now, I'm not buying it.
Mac, do you need the census?
Yes, of course. I know the problem with the census. I'm just telling it to you. The statistics offices in Dominica does not have the resources to function at the optimum level. So they're struggling to do what they can do. But they do have some statistics. There's a statistics, for example, that is within the control of the Ministry of Health. That is to say, the place of birth of the mothers who are given birth at the hospital or in Dominica. Mm-hmm. The Ministry of Health has the information. I know that as a fact. I asked them for it. They give me all kind of wrong and so on. They want to keep it a secret. I don't know what bloody secret. Well, sorry about the word there, but that's not a secret. That's information you have, everybody should know. And if people know, they can make better decisions. If we, Ministry of Finance, it's statistical accuracy, the Ministry of Finance should allocate sufficient resources for the statistics department to do its work. And I go to the statistics office kind of fairly often. All the statistics I'm talking about, there's not things I'm making up. Mm-hmm. These are numbers that the statistics office has. I used to think they a lot of women there. I just think they loved me and were happy to see me there because I was such a handsome and dashing fellow. until I realized, but hold on a minute there. But every time I go there, as if I'm the only person who isn't working there, who isn't there.
People don't care.
So I think they kind of treat me nicely because they think I value their work, because it seems that practically nobody else in Dominica bothers with what they do, except the people really bother with what they do is IMF, WHO, these organizations abroad that need the statistics for them to do their work, because it seems like hardly anybody in Dominica bothers to go and ask them for any statistics. They have statistics there. They might not have all the statistics. One of those that they should have, and there's a thing you need to do is a quarterly employment survey, so you know employment situation, where jobs are, because there might be a general level of unemployment at the same time when other people have a shortage of labor. So the policymakers and everybody else should be better able to plan what people should be studying and preparing and training for work. Which is a thing they do in St. Lucia. So their statistics are pretty good, up to date. And when you join the civil service in St. Lucia as a statistician, you pretty much end your career in the statistics office. So you are familiar with the whole statistics thing. Whereas here you are a statistician today, tomorrow you go to work at the customs and so on. So
let's take a phone call before we wrap it up here. Hello. Yes?
Yes, Matt, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Matt, very good program this morning. Matt, population and economy that is two that have to go hand in hand. But our government has failed us when it comes to our economy. That is the reason why our population is so low. People have been leaving this country because there is no technique. This government has no technique in building our economy. Take, for instance, a couple of years ago, I remember when Antigua was deporting people from Antigua because they said there was so much immigrants in Antigua, and they were deporting people out of Antigua. But when they realized that it was bringing down the economy, because why they had less people in Antigua, they opened the door for foreigners to come back in Antigua. And I remember when Antigua was calling in foreigners to come in, so that the population in Antigua could grow and it could build back up the economy, because they realized that they were doing something wrong. But I stayed 30-something years in St. Martin, and I see immigration deporting people out of St. Martin because they didn't have work permit. But when they realized that it is the foreigners that have liquor St. Martin going, they slow down on the deportation. And what they did, they put what you call they call it a grace period, where if you are illegal, you can come in and put in your own document in so that you can stay in the country and work, because they realize that the population is very important in building up an economy. And Matt, in Dominica, we have a government, no technique. A matter of fact, in a technique, they don't have enough. They don't have concern. They don't care. For them, the less people in the country is better for them, because why? The few that remain in the country will come to them and get handout so that they can control this country, so that their pocket can get fatter, and while we, the people in Dominica, will stay poor. But Matt, this is a very important topic, and you need to bring it back again. Thank you.
All right, we'll try, and maybe next time I talk to Mark, we'll talk about crime. And crime.
Oh, yeah. If you want to talk about crime, on my first podcast, I actually spoke about crime. There's a podcast on Dominica News Online. So if you go to YouTube and you put in Factually Speaking, DNO, you will see the podcast. The first one we had was actually on crime, which showed that Dominica has a high murder rate, higher than the average in the world, higher than the United States, for example.
We'll talk about that sometime soon. Somebody saying, man, the question is, who is responsible for the problem at the statistical division?
Well, the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance.
Is there a reason why they try to keep it secret, though?
It is what?
Or is there a reason why they try to keep most of the statistics there at division secret?
It's not secret. If you go there and ask them, they'll give it to you. But if you follow that, I just go there and ask them whatever statistics I want, They might tell me, well, they haven't finished them yet. They put them together, so maybe in a month's time, come back, whatever. But I go there and ask them for it. There's some of it that's available on their website. I do chide them that they don't keep the website up to date. But yeah, there's stats.gov.dm in case you want to go and check some statistics there.
So,
yeah.
Mark, next time we talk, let's talk about crime.
Yeah, if you want.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll give you.
And by the way, the people who are listening there, they can go on YouTube
DNO.
Right, on DNO, right, and they can see the podcast that we and Tim have there speaking about this population collapse, because we say the population of Dominica has collapsed because we are having more deaths than births, which if that continues without a let-up, there will eventually be nobody here. Literally, quite literally. It will be zero.
And you're not mincing your words on that?
Huh?
And you're not mincing your words?
No. That's just arithmetic. It's arithmetic. It's not calculus or no kind of complicated mathematics. It's arithmetic. It's a simple thing. If more are going out by death than are coming in by birth, one of them days there'll be nobody. It's just simple arithmetic.
Our final call here this morning there with Mark Murray, the economist. Hello, yes?
Well, your line, I don't know, there are some problems. But man, I'm telling you that. The point is, them man badly handling economy, and that's what happened. For over 24 years, brother man, I can tell you that straight up. People are leaving the country, you know why? Because they're not seeing the way through. More and more things going high in Dominica, and they're not seeing the way through. You know what I mean? So this is a problem we have in Dominica right now.
Well, again, as we wrap it up, Mark has said the economy is not the issue.
Well, the economy is an issue. And part of the reason it's an issue is because of the population problem. Everybody wants to put it the other way around. If we were, how to put it? How do we get rich? We get rich by producing something. More we produce, more we have. People want to put it the upside down. There's an old time.
All right, Dominica, we are already 3:01 in the afternoon. There's an urgent need for blood at the China Friendship Hospital. If you can deliver some blood, it'd be much appreciated. So an urgent need for some blood to the China Friendship Hospital. You'll see you heard the announcement on Matt in the afternoon. Some family member still requesting some blood there. Family friend. If you can, please give some blood. Be a good citizen. Time now for Flo Dominica. We'll be back with that request again in the morning. Thank you.
Open business. Rosso, you are now fiber ready. Enjoy faster speeds and bigger savings on Dominica's most reliable network. Sign up now or upgrade to a Flow Fiber internet package and get 1 month free internet service. Add a postpaid mobile to your package and save 50% off your mobile bill every month. Plus, get a smartphone absolutely free. Rosso, are you ready for the Flow Fiber fast internet experience? Feel the speed. Visit the Flow flagship store or call 440-356